This national news edition originates from VK1WIA and is rebroadcast throughout Australia and around the world under a common licence published on the WIA website. This WIA national news service is copyright to the Wireless Institute of Australia, and rebroadcast is authorised only under the provisions of that common licence. WIA Director and Company Secretary Peter Cleave, VK8ZZ.
From Australia, this is the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.
In WIA National News this week, Pete Cherry, VK2LP, the returning officer of the Wireless Institute of Australia, Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH, Editor-in-Chief of Amateur Radio Magazine. And following on from the last few weeks' bios of candidates for this year's WIA AGM election, we hear here from Justin, VK7TW. And the tragic news which swept the airwaves this week, the death of Mobile One's VK4BBX. But wait, there's much, much more in this edition of news from the Wireless Institute of Australia, and it's for week commencing Sunday, February 1, 2026. I'm Editor Graham, VK4BB, and people have often asked me why I became an editor. Well, to cut a long story short...
This is your WIA News. Just the facts.
On behalf of the WIA Board, this is WIA Director Lee Moyle, VK3GK. The Ross Hull International Contest Marathon has now finished, and it's time to get your VHF-UHF logs submitted. Email your log to rosshull@wia.org.au. Further information and past results can be found on the WIA website. Peter Freeman, VK3PF, is the contest manager. While on VHF-UHF, Dr. Kevin Johnston, VK4UH, has submitted claims for distance records. VHF-UHF record, WIA Certificate of Achievement for an incredible two-way radio contact between David Minchin, VK5KK, and Ian Crawford, VK5ZD, on the 15th of November 2025, which set a new distance record for home portable, national and VK5 state on the 241 GHz band at a distance of 25 kilometres. The 2026 first edition of Amateur Radio Magazine will be out shortly. Once again, it continues to be on time and full of exceptional content. The editorial team continue to do their best to provide interesting articles to cover a wide range of topics suited to the diverse readership. Now that said, Editor Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH, is always seeking great and informative articles to include in AR Magazine. So put pen to paper or fingers on the keyboard and submit your new project for potential inclusion. The Pubcom are currently in the process of putting together a paper for details on how to prepare and submit articles with good photographs and specifications to help the team get your article in print. This edition of AR Magazine will include details of how to vote for the upcoming WIA election, including the 4 candidates nominated for WIA directorship and their biographies. As a WIA member, it is important to vote for the ongoing success of the WIA, the oldest radio society in the world. As the WIA AGM is only a few months away on the 2nd and 3rd of May 2026, great progress is being made for VK Summit, the event being held in Albury, New South Wales and conducted by the Albury and Wodonga Radio Club. More details on that event can be found on the WIA website. For now, 7-3 from WIA Director Lee Moyle, VK3GK.
As you know, today is the 1st of February 2026, and that means that the election for directors of the WIA is now open. An email with a link to the electronic vote was recently sent to all members who have a valid email address in Memnet. If you did not receive an email, please contact the returning officer via the email returningofficer@nationaloffice.wia.org.au. For those of you who do not have an email address and did not elect to receive a postal vote, that is, those members who we have not been able to contact, please contact the WIA office between the hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, on phone 03-9729-0400. Leave your contact details and the returning officer will be in touch. Good luck to the candidates, who are Chris Dmitrijevic, VK3FY, Klaus Ilhart, VK3IU, Lee Moyle, VK3GK, Justin Giles Clark, VK7TW. The election will close on 28 February 2026, and the results will be communicated after the close in accordance with the WIA election regulations. This announcement has been spoken and authorized by Pete Cherry, VK2LP, the returning officer of the Wireless Institute of Australia.
This is Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH, Editor-in-Chief of Amateur Radio magazine. As many of you will have guessed, I'm here to tell you that the first issue of Amateur Radio magazine for 2026 rolled off the press last Wednesday, as scheduled, never mind the Monday holiday. Our feature this issue is titled Contest Capers. As contesting is a widely popular pastime in the radio amateur community, I'm sure there'll be something of interest to a wide range of readers. Haven't tried it? Time to get on the air and check it out. Like fishing, you never know your luck until you cast a line. What about the social undercurrent about home solar systems easing out the traditional coal-fired power stations? And none too soon by some reports. The next big thing, apparently, is home battery systems, which are being promoted and subsidised by government assistance programs. All well and good, but home batteries also have a role in disasters. How's that? Well, check out our feature article on the subject. From the present to the past, those with an interest in ham radio history, and yes, there are still stories to tell that remain untold. We have part one of a feature on an unexpected subject, the joint development of the WIA and the RAAF's Wireless Reserve. WIA historian Peter Wolverton, VK3RV, tells the intriguing story behind the early days of the RAAF and the WIA, about the key characters involved and the connections between them. Don't forget that there's an election coming up. Yep, under the Institute's constitution, 4 members have stepped up for election to 3 positions on the board for 2026-27. Read all about it in our left-out centre pages this issue. Both electronic and mail voting is available. As always, there's so much more in every edition of Amateur Radio magazine. More guts, less gab. Articles written by Australian amateurs for Australian amateurs, and edited by an Australian amateur in Australia. I'm Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH, for VK1WIA News.
VK1WIA.
Justin, VK7 Tango Whiskey. Okay, as many of you know, I've nominated for the WIA board in 2026, and I want to be very clear about what I intend to focus on if I'm elected. First and foremost is implementing a structured, ongoing engagement strategy with the ACMA. The relationship we have between the amateur service and the regulator cannot be ad hoc, reactive or personality driven. It needs to be deliberate, professional and continuous. This means regular technical dialogue, evidence-based submissions, and a clear articulation of how amateur radio delivers public benefit, innovation, skills development, and an emergency capability. Engagement with the ACMA is not something we visit every few years when a problem appears. It must be embedded in how the WIA operate. Now, my second priority is creating and implementing a national education, training and assessment strategy for amateur radio. Now that the WIA has an agreement in place with the Radio and Electronics School, we finally have the foundation to do this properly. This is an opportunity to move beyond fragmented state-by-state approaches and build a nationally consistent framework covering foundation through to advanced, assessor development, modern learning materials and clear pathways into the hobby. Education is how we grow numbers, retain members and future-proof amateur radio in Australia. For those who know me, you know I'm not interested in endless discussion papers or ticking boxes. I'm a doer. I like building things, fixing things, and getting outcomes. I've represented amateurs at a national level before, and I'm eager to do it again, with a clear focus on delivery, not rhetoric. If elected, my aim is simple. Strengthen our standing with the regulator, modernise how we bring people into the hobby, and ensure the WIA remains credible, relevant, and effective for the years ahead. If you need to know the other stuff about me, then look on my bio page on the WIA website, my blog, or my LinkedIn pages. 73 Justin, VK7 Tango Whiskey.
Not a sound to be heard. We pause and remember another silent key.
Victor Kilo 4, Bravo, Bravo, X-ray. Two men died in a late plane crash north of the Gold Coast shortly after taking off from a private airstrip at about 6 a.m. on Tuesday last, en route to a small town near Tamworth in VK2. Police have confirmed the 73-year-old pilot from Beenleigh and his male passenger, believed to be from Sydney, died at the scene. They were the only occupants of the plane, which came down shortly after takeoff in bushland in Jacobs Well, near the Heckfield airstrip, and this shortly before 6 a.m. on Tuesday. The pilot, Victor Kilo 4 Bravo Bravo X-ray, Greg Ackman. Greg was founder of Mobile One Antennas. He built the business from a garage-based operation during the 1970s. He became a ham late 2021. VK4BBX was a familiar face in the Australian amateur radio community, often showcasing Mobile One products at field days and events. Vale, Victor Kilo 4 Bravo Bravo X-ray.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's national news service. We are VK1WIA. Now with international news, Jason, VK2LAW.
Hello. Leading international news this week, Belarus threatens ham radio operators with the death penalty. The IRTS, Irish Radio Transmitters Society, are reporting that the Belarusian state authorities have detained over 50 licensed members of BFRR, the Belarusian Federation of Radio Amateurs and Radio Sportsmen. They are accused of treason and espionage and have been paraded on state television. The accusations are that they've used Baofeng radios and consumer-grade SDR dongles to intercept military radio traffic. QSL cards received through the QSL Bureau and logged contacts with operators in Europe or the United States are being presented as clandestine reporting to NATO agents, says the Irish report. At the urging of ARRL, the National Association for Amateur Radio, the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, is expected to exempt radio amateurs from foreign adversary reporting requirements. These rules would have applied to citizens of listed countries, including those living in the United States who hold or are applying for an FCC licence. Foreign adversaries, as defined in the draft, are China, including Hong Kong and Macau, Cuba, Iran, North Korea, Russian Federation, and Venezuelan politician Nicolas Maduro. Vandals strike ham factory. A major act of vandalism has disrupted production and shipping at the Dishtronics, Tentec, Alpha RF Systems factory in Dayton, Ohio. According to company owner Mike Dishop, November 8 Whiskey Foxtrot, a group of thieves destroyed the factory's underground electrical infrastructure in order to steal the copper cable. The thieves extracted approximately 2,000 feet of half-inch copper cable, weighing approximately 2,800 pounds, explained Dishop, with an estimated salvage value of $12,000 and a replacement cost of over $35,000. Dishop told the ARRL letter that power was restored on January 14, a month after the break-in, but explained that this interruption has impacted the timing for everything we had on schedule by at least 3 months due to the loss of time and capital. He says the police investigation is ongoing. US lawmakers in Washington, D.C. have reached a deal that would fund the Voice of America, giving its parent organisation, the US Agency for Global Media, an estimated $653 million. That figure is considerably lower than the annual $860 million provided previously to the agency. As described on the Radio World website, the funds would also pay for restoration and operations for Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, and Radio Free Asia. A minimum of $30 million is earmarked for medium and shortwave programming by the Office of Cuba Broadcasting. The New Zealand Cabinet has made key decisions on the future of AM and FM sound broadcasting licences beyond the expiry of current licences in 2031. Following public consultation in 2025, the New Zealand Government has agreed to continue to use the spectrum for AM and FM services for a further 20 years, providing for radio broadcasting through to 2051. Commercial, community and Kiwi broadcasters will continue to have access to radio spectrum. Commercial broadcasters can expect renewal offers in coming months, while non-commercial operators will be engaged well ahead of the expiry of their current licences. The renewal process for community licences will be led by the Ministry for Culture and Heritage. Local commercial FM licences will be offered the opportunity to transition to either a community or commercial licence. For WIA National News in Sydney, I'm Jason, VK2LAW.
We are VK1WIA. Now, operational news with VK4FUQ. Felix.
Hello there. Now, contest-wise 2026. February 7 and 8, 1010 Winter International Winter Contest, SSB, phone. February 21 and 22, ARRLDXCW. March Jock White Memorial Field Day, February 28th, Saturday, 1500 hours to 2400 hours NZDT, and Sunday, March 1, 0600 hours to 1500 hours NZDT. March 7 and 8, ARRLDX SSB. March 15, BERU. March 21 and 22, John Moore Memorial Field Day. And don't forget to read the new rules for 2026. May, Harrow Angel Memorial Sprint, May 2nd. Now let's open the DX window to the world. Chaz, NKAO, is on the air as 5H3DX from Tanzania. Until the 9th of February, operating CW using the digital modes on 20 through 10 metres. If conditions permit, it will also be on 6 metres. ZL100C is a call sign celebrating the centenary of NZART, the New Zealand Association of Radio Transmitters, which was formed on the 16th of August 1926. The call sign is valid until the 6th of August 2026. QSL via the Bureau and LOTW. Listen for Aldea, PY1 SAD on the air through to the 23rd of February, as 8R1 TM from Guyana. He is using CW, SSB and digital modes on 160 to 6 metres. He is also operating via satellite during the week from 23 hours to 03 hours UTC and more frequently during the weekends. Mikael will be active as OX7AKT from Greenland, 10 to 17 February 2026. May be a good time to get Greenland in the log whilst it is still an entity. Tom VK2 TBC will be active as VK0 TBC from Casey Station, Antarctica, between February and December. He will operate SSB and FT8. Established in 1947, the British Faraday Antarctic Station was transferred to Ukraine ownership in February 1996 and renamed Akademik Vernadsky. Celebrating this 30th anniversary, 5 special call signs will be active from 1 February now until 1 March. Look for the EM30 prefixes on air. For WIA National News, I'm Felix, VK4FUQ in Ingham.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now, special interest group news.
Hi, I'm Graham, VK3GRK from very warm and sunny Bendigo. Worldwide special interest groups, astronomy and wireless weather. Earth hit by biggest solar radiation storm in 23 years. Reports now being calculated suggest Earth's magnetic field was struck by a severe solar storm on January 19th, triggering vibrant auroras in the US and large parts of Europe. The storm broke a record that had stood for more than 2 decades. A severe and record-breaking geomagnetic storm rocked Earth's magnetic shield last night, shortly after the Sun unleashed a powerful X-class solar flare. The epic event, triggered by a stream of superfast solar particles, painted widespread auroras at unusually low latitudes across the Northern Hemisphere, particularly in Europe. The storm's severity, which exceeded that of the one in October of 2023, disrupted the HF bands, challenging ham radio operators while creating spectacular auroral displays. Worldwide Special Interest Groups News, Summits on the Air, Worldwide Flora, Fauna Program, Parks on the Air and other adventure groups. Remember this URL, spottedham.com. A new web-based tool for the amateur radio community, spottedham.com, has launched to provide hams with a more granular way to monitor the bands. Unlike traditional clusters, Spotted Ham allows users to create custom watch lists for specific call signs, POTA, Parks on the Air, references, or specific bands and modes. The system monitors live spotting data and sends an immediate email notification to the user the moment a match is found. This is particularly useful for operators chasing specific park references or monitoring the activity of friends and local club members. Developer Robert Campbell, Kilo Mike 6 Hotel Bravo Hotel, designed the tool to be mobile first, ensuring that activators in the field and operators in the shack have a clean, clutter-free interface. The service is currently free to use and supports global spotting data. Interested operators can find the live spotting table, an easy way to spot themselves, and sign up for alerts on spottedham.com. Worldwide Special Interest Groups Digital. The Alberta Digital Radio Society is pleased to announce that it has chosen orthogonal frequency division multiplexing, or OFDM, as the modulation method for the enhanced data mode on its IP400 supernode. This mode will enable higher data rates than have previously been achieved with conventional FM radios, says Martin Orcock, Victor Echo 6 Victor Hotel, founder of the IP400 project, who goes on to say, and it will provide us with the ability to extend the network to a mobile station on a conventional repeater, which can be in either the 2 metre, 220, 440 and 900 bands, and with no radio modifications required. The goals of the IP400 project are not only to implement a higher speed mesh network on the 400 MHz band, but also to breathe new life into analog repeaters with a simple data upgrade, which will result in the addition of 3 modes, a 4FSK compatible mode on 400 MHz, a high-speed OFDM mode at 2.39 GHz for linking and backbone purposes, and a slower audio band OFDM mode that is designed to work with existing VHF and UHF radios. Worldwide Special Interest Groups Final Frontier. NASA has selected 34 global volunteers to track the Orion spacecraft during the crewed Artemis II mission's journey around the Moon. While NASA's Near Space Network and Deep Space Network, coordinated by the agency's SCAN, Space Communication and Navigation program, will provide primary communications and tracking services to support Orion's launch, journey around the Moon and return to Earth, participants selected from a request for proposals published in August 2025, comprised of established commercial service providers, members of academia and individual amateur radio enthusiasts will use their respective equipment to passively track radio waves transmitted by Orion during its approximately 10-day journey. Last year, the US Space Agency asked hams with the necessary capabilities to observe the Doppler shift on the spacecraft's S-band return link carrier signal. The spacecraft's S-band range is between 2,200 and 2,290 MHz. Volunteers will not be transmitting or uplinking signals. Artemis II mission crew enters quarantine before flying to the Moon. The astronauts' quarantine began on January 23rd. This period, officially called the Health Stabilisation Program, usually begins about 14 days before launch. During this time, astronauts minimise their contact with other people. This is necessary to rule out the possibility of illnesses that could delay their mission or develop during the flight. At this time, NASA has not yet set an official launch date for Artemis II, as testing of the rocket and spacecraft continues. Starting quarantine now allows for flexibility. Depending on the results of the launch dress rehearsal or other operational considerations, the crew may exit quarantine and return to it 14 days before any date. The crew began quarantine in Houston. If preparations for launch proceed successfully, they will fly to the Kennedy Space Center in Florida approximately 6 days before launch, where they will stay in special accommodations. During quarantine, the crew will be able to continue communicating regularly with friends, family and colleagues, who are complying with quarantine rules and will avoid public places, wear masks and maintain distance from other people with whom they come into contact, while continuing their latest training and medical examinations. Worldwide, special interest groups, radio amateur old-timers and young-timers. It's to VK7 first up.
Hello everyone, this is Peter, VK7PD, reminding you that tomorrow is the first Monday of the month. Time for the Radio Amateurs Old-Timers Club of Australia's February Bulletin to go to air. This month, as well as the latest club news, we'll deviate from an historic article and have a look at where developments were in battery technology as it was 12 years ago. Both of these articles were first broadcast in March 2014. The first is read by Clive, VK6CSW. This is followed by a second article on the same theme by Ian, VK3JS, with further discussion on developments made at the time by Swedish manufacturer Volvo. Everyone, RAOTC members and non-members alike, is most welcome to listen to the program and to join in the callbacks afterwards. Full details of all transmissions, times and modes can be found on the RAOTC website at www.raotc.org.au or just Google RAOTC broadcasts. If none of the transmission times suit you, you can download the audio file at any time from today from the club's website. Once again, tune in tomorrow for the February RAOTC Bulletin. Enjoy the program and please join in the callbacks afterwards. 73 from Peter, VK7PD.
Last week, I spoke to you about the AAC Headland Capability Futures Program drone camps in Adelaide. Well, the 3 camps now have wrapped up. Over the 5-day camps, cadets and staff learned how to build, program and operate 5-inch racing drones. They also heard from local defence industry group presentations discussing future opportunities and capabilities they offered to the ADF. A special shout-out went to a newly promoted cadet, Joey Huang, who received a specially signed promotion certificate from AAC Commander Brigadier David McCammon, DSC, and BAR. Cadet Huang is a member of the AAC Drone Racing Cadet Instructional Team, where he has been supporting drone familiarization training for Australian Defence Force members. During that time, he demonstrated outstanding leadership and shared his knowledge to help enhance understanding and capability of drone racing in preparation for airshows and UAS events. For WIA National News, I am Alan, VK2COD in Sydney.
Thanks, guys, and thank you, the listener and viewer, for joining us this week.
It's a date. Remember, clubs are welcome to email text with audio for this section, nationalnews@wia.org.au. We have in VK6 Pargfest. Pargfest happens at the Mandurah Bowling Club next weekend, February 7 from 9 a.m. And in VK4, Redfest, Deception Bay North State School, 9 a.m, April 11.
Greetings from the Redcliffe and Districts Radio Club, VK4RC. Robert Thompson, VK4TFN here. Redfest 26, Digital Communications, 11th April 2026. John Saunders, VK4BZ, reports in our January QTC newsletter that organisation of Redfest 26 is proceeding apace. Our redfest.org website is almost completed. He has confirmed that we will raffle an IC 7300 Mark II. The ladies from Alara have booked a table. There will be 5 specialty vendors, also commercial radio and electronic vendors. The Coaxial Cafe team is organised. Tech Talk speakers are being lined up. Peter, VK4TAA, will have several tables full of pre-loved techno goodies. Stay tuned for further updates and don't be afraid to go and visit our redfest.org website. Come along and join in the fun. Thank you, and 73s from the Redcliffe and Districts Radio Club, VK4RC.
And for all of VK, WIA, AGM happens May 2 at 2 p.m, Albury and VK2. This couples with the ICOM VK Summit 2026 on May 2 and 3. Now, until next we meet, I am Graham, I am VK4BB. Walk softly.
From Australia, This has been the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.
Courtesy of Bevan, VK5BD's ATV and YouTube channel, this has been WIA National News. We're back now, live and local, and your voice, your callbacks. And don't forget, tick like.